Hey, can y'all hear me? Testing, testing, 1, 2. Let me know if y'all can hear me before I start talking. No, it's not pre-recorded. I'm live. Not for long, but I'm live. Hey, Tracy, I don't have if you see anything suspicious, just go ahead and zap them. I don't have the door's not closed. So I don't have it on subscriber mode. So if you see anybody come in, just zap them. Hey JB, hey Chuck, what's up, y'all? Baby, I just had to come in here because the receipts keep receipting, and I just wanted to share it with you guys. I may go inside because I think I'm out on my balcony. People might be out here. Let me go back inside. So I wanted to drop in and talk to you guys for a few minutes about what's going on over in them Real Housewives of Beverly Hills streets, because for those of us who watch this season, I'm gonna be honest with y'all, and I know a lot of people don't like Kyle, and I'm not saying that Kyle don't have no shit with her, because you know we know Kyle for her works, right? But honestly, with these receipts that have been dropping over the last 2 days, Kyle is vindicated as it relates to Dorit and her spending and her erratic behavior, in my opinion. Now, that's nasty. I got this little like B12 drink, y'all, to try to replenish my electrolytes, and it's nasty. But anyway, what Chuck, you sent me a text, but baby, I had already seen it, honey. So let's get into it. So it started a couple of days ago. Now y'all know TV. It started a couple of days ago. So let's go in here. Let me go back in my receipts, honey. Let me see here. It goes back to, so it started earlier last week. It started before, I think, what day did we leave? Thursday. I think it started on Wednesday. So it says PK accuses Dorit of blowing money on luxury items. Okay. So let me keep reading this, y'all. Y'all know this stuff. So it says, according to court TMZ, PK says he looked into how the money was being spent and claims they found out Dorit racked up more than $1 million in luxury spending over the past year or so, including around $995,000 on high-end designer clothing, handbags, and accessories. The documents detail where the money allegedly went, including about $69,000 at Louis Vuitton, another $69,000 at Chanel, and roughly $38,000 at Hermes, along with purchases from retailers like Net-a-Porter, Forward, and Moda Operandi. PK astonishingly claims that Dorit made no mortgage payments on the home despite having exclusive use of the property, while he says he covered about 90% of the family's expenses, including the mortgages, and he put mortgages with an S, honey, household costs, and more expenses tied to their kids. Okay. It says the property purchased in 2019 is now saddled with more than $6 million in unpaid mortgage debt. The docs show notices of default have been recorded and foreclosure proceedings could be imminent. PK says he spent more than a year trying to avoid this outcome, pointing to financial records, forensic accounting, and months of emails and lender communications that he claims show repeated efforts to resolve the situation and push for a sale. He claims that he repeatedly warned that the home was heading toward foreclosure unless both sides worked with lenders and moved forward with a sale, but says that those efforts failed. He said, according to the filing, PK also proposed selling the home and temporarily relocating Dorit and the kids to his nearby residence while he covered expenses, but claims that those proposals were rejected. Now PK is asking the court to step in, force the sale of the home to prevent what he claims will be a total loss of equity in a foreclosure. Now, that's what I saw on Wednesday, okay? Well, let me tell you guys. Hold on, let me scroll through all these pictures and videos I've been taking for y'all that I can post when I get home, honey. Let me scroll through all this stuff. I got other stuff to share with y'all, but this one I said, oh my goodness, I got to get this out. Okay, hold on. Let me keep scrolling, child. Wow. Okay. Now let me just give you, I already read y'all some of what was in that first one. Let me read y'all this list that I saw that was posted, okay? On November the 3rd, now this is of 2025. And so before people start saying, well, Kyle was talking to PK, remember when they filmed these shows, okay? Remember when they filmed these shows? Y'all, they filmed these shows probably 9 months ago at this point. And they just had the reunion. So all of this stuff is information that Kyle probably did not have. So this is other stuff that was going on. So let's keep going. Let me just read y'all this. On November the 3rd, she spent $10,000 at Louis Vuitton. November the 5th, $32,000 at Chanel. November the 5th, $6,000 at Gucci. November the 5th, $7,000 at Louis Vuitton. November the 15th, $36,000 at Chanel. December the 23rd, $21,000 at Hermes. December the 31st, $12,000 at Hermes. January the 3rd, $42,000 at Louis Vuitton. January the 5th, $4,000 at Hermes. So this was a list that's in the court documents, right? So they did a forensic accounting and they pulled her financial records, right? Now that's probably her Real Housewives of Beverly Hills paycheck, right? That's probably what she's spending. She's spending her damn Real Housewives paycheck. Well, TMZ went a bit further. Baby, why do they have the text messages? And that's why I said, oh, we got to go live and read these text messages. So these are the text messages allegedly that TMZ has obtained between Dorit and PK. Y'all ready? I'm going to read them to you. Hit that like button when you guys come in. All right. I know this is Saturday and I'm on vacation, but get this good tea. Get this good tea. Okay. Let me read this to you. Hold on. Let me put this down. This is April the 1st of 2026. So these are recent messages, you guys. So this isn't something that Dorit can say Kyle was talking to PK and it was all a setup. No. This is April the 1st of 2026. This is Dorit. Dorit says, no, this is PK. I'm sorry. This is PK talking to Dorit. It says, I late on Friday was sent the last 6 months of your bank statements. I think it's supposed to say late on Friday. Sent the last 6 months of your bank statements. The expenditure is incredibly troubling, and coming from a caring perspective, I'm extremely concerned. The numbers present as someone who has either had a major shopping problem or you have so much money that I'm unaware of. I have zero intention of trying to discuss this with you on the telephone, as this will become litigious. I have provided Justin with all of the information and numbers. I'm assuming that's like his attorney. I don't know. I'm not even sure if you're aware, but below is a snapshot of your luxury expenditures from October through January. For you to tell me you have no money to take our children away on spring break or to help make Jagger and Phoenix birthdays wild within weeks of these dates, you have spent hundreds, literally hundreds of thousands of dollars on clothes. So then, oh, I'm sorry. I'm sending you a stipulation for me to be able to pay the arrears. As you know, we're completely out of time. I'm hearing that you are looking at houses that are far too expensive. And the reality is this house, and the reality is the house. I don't know. Okay. Looks like he put a period there and he shouldn't have, but okay. It says the houses that you are looking at are far too expensive. And the reality is the house you're in appears to be cheaper than the ones you're looking at. So there's things that need to be discussed on a professional level. And I'm simply not prepared to enter into those conversations with you if you are able to try and justify what is $1.4 million spent since June. When you ask me to live an honest life, you too need to live one. And you have to stop telling me things like you got taken to Mexico when the expense is on your statements that you got flown to Paris when you spent $30,000 on airfare. The expenditure is presenting as someone who has significant issues, and I am absolutely willing to help you transition. I am not here to be drained by your whilst you do whatever you like with no regards to the consequences. If that's your plan, we will be totally unable to avoid court. I need you to speak with Justin and see if we can reach a resolution quickly, because that is exactly what's needed, not a major argument between you and I on this subject. I'm unable to do anything without a written agreement, given what's been revealed. So this was, child, he done sent her a whole book, child. Let me read the chat, because I wasn't reading the chat. Okay. Hold on, let me see. What y'all saying in the chat? Dorit got a job at LV to get an employee discount. Okay. What's up, 2 gigs? Hey, boo. Mm-hmm. Okay. So let me keep reading. I see what y'all say in the chat. So let me keep reading. So then Dorit says, PK, I'm not interested in reading a long, drawn-out text message. I'm not interested in going backwards. We can either have a conversation like we agreed to, or we're back to where we were and you have no interest in having an amicable relationship like you said you did. I'm not looking to argue. I don't care about Tatiana or anything else you're doing in your life. That must be PK, new girlfriend, honey. That's your life to live, PK, and I want you to be happy. Easier for everyone in the meantime. I'll continue focusing on what the kids need. And then she said, where are you getting those reports of my expenditures? So then PK responded and said, Dorit, I have your bank statements. They were legally requested as part of the financial disclosure subpoena. So then Dorit said, because those are personal, they're not for your consumption. And if you are invading my privacy, it's a big problem for me. So I would focus on doing what I do, which is live my life while supporting my children. So then PK said, no, love, it's legal. He said, fortunately for you, I have no intentions of sharing these outside of counsel. Well, somebody shared them because, baby, we got it. It says, however, the concept you have that you can do what you like while asking me to make essential payments on your behalf is not quite the case. Let's get this wrapped up now. Speak to Justin. He said, speak to Justin. And then we can focus on the kids and having a relationship. Discussing financials does not mean that we should not communicate as friends. However, you're going to be asking me for money that I'm simply not going to provide without an agreement. So assuming that's what you want to speak. So Dorit responded and said, moving on, that's where we should focus. That's where our focus should be, so we can both move forward into a better next chapter. So then PK says, now these look like these were cut and pasted. So I don't feel like this was exactly how the conversation went, but these are the texts. Let me just say that. So then PK says, the suggestion that I don't care about my children's welfare is as defamatory as you have been for the last 2 years on television. Your most recent financial discussions put the children's home and well-being at risk with your relentlessness pursuit of luxury items. I'm not interested in having a debate over this. If you wish to settle this, I suggest you make a suggestion, but it should be made with the reality of the current circumstances. So then Dorit says, what are the current circumstances? So PK said, a house in foreclosure. He said, if you want to make a deal, oh, wait a minute, that cut off. All right, well, that cut off. So then the next one messages I have, it says, now this Dorit sent this to PK. I don't have the date here, but I have the time. It just says today at 1:05. It doesn't give you the date of when she sent it. But Dorit sent him the message. It says, I received a letter in the mail. The house is going to auction sale on April the 30th. Are you aware? So PK says, no. So then Dorit says, really scary, PK. So then he's responded and says, you've read it wrong, or it's a fake email. Suggest you send it to me. So Dorit said, it's not fake. I'll send it to you. And they put a little half of the screenshot. They didn't put the whole screenshot. You can't really read. They showed the screenshot, but child, you can't really read. You zoom in, you can't read what it says. So then Dorit says, why haven't you paid the arrears and taken it out of foreclosure yet? I'm really confused. This isn't worth taking a chance. So then PK said, the letter you have received is from someone effectively offering to help. It's a sales letter dressed up to look as if it's an official letter. There's no auction on April the 30th. So then Dorit says, how do you know there's no auction on April the 30th? I don't think we're aware of everything that is happening now that the foreclosure has been registered. So then PK says, you have a fast track to resolve the issues with the house, and that is to sign the agreements that I have been provided. To date, you have chosen a different path that leads to a different result. Okay, so he said, look, I gave you paperwork to sign. You ain't signed it, so that's why we are where we are. So then Dorit says, what are you talking about? I'm waiting on you. What are you talking about? I'm waiting on you. I told you 100 different ways I will sign the agreement, but you haven't paid the arrears or taken it out of foreclosure, and now your lawyer is just delaying. You are now saying you won't pay the arrears and take the house out of foreclosure like you promised. Is this another game that you're playing with mine and the children's? Child, she's going to throw the kids up in the ain't she? Okay, that's the last text message I have. There's probably some more, but hold on. Let me see if I can go to TMZ real quick and see if I can find some more. Because, child, I want to know what he said after that. So it sounds like there was that PK is working to get this out of foreclosure, but he wants her to sign off an agreement for certain things, and she ain't signed off with. They sound like they at a crossroads. Hold on, here go the messages. Let me see if I got all of them, child. Here it is right here. Oh no, that was the last text message. So, y'all, now I don't know how TMZ got these messages, and I can't say that they're real. I would just say that TMZ got them. But this, again, this is what I was saying during the season. I 100% believe that Dorit was spending money out of control. And I told y'all all along, I never believed that PK was the big bad wolf that she was trying to make him out to be. I'm not saying that that PK is perfect or that he's without fault. I just did not feel like he was just totally leaving them out to dry and he didn't want to see his kids and he didn't want to spend. I just didn't believe that. I just did not believe that. And so kind of where we are now. And this, again, these text messages are after they filmed the season, after the reunion. So when Kyle was saying, look, I'm worried about your spending, you have these financial situations. And Dorit was like, I'm just treating myself, Kyle. Kyle, I'm just treating myself. Like, Kyle was trying to be a good friend to you, girl. You know, even though Bose said the same thing and tried to act like she didn't say what she said, but we know, Bose, you said what you said. We know you said what you said, Bose. TMZ has to have a plug at the courthouse that leaves documents on the counter. Right, because TMZ be getting this shit. Okay. But yeah, y'all, I had to come down here and just give y'all that little piece, that little something. I think it vindicates PK. I think those messages, just the fact that she spent damn near $1 million on luxury items between November and you knew your house was in foreclosure. Like, even if, my thing is this, y'all, even if PK said, I'm going to pay this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. If that's the house that you want to stay in, why didn't you pay a couple of those mortgage payments out of that $90,000 just to say, okay, here's a good faith effort. Let me pay. Because you could have got your attorney to say, look, PK has to pay that money back to Dorit. But just to make sure your kids have a place to lay their head, right? And then he said that he was willing to move her out of that house and give her another house to downgrade, a smaller house while they get their shit together. And she was like, no. And then he said she was house hunting, but she was looking at houses that were more expensive than the houses that she's already in. Hello. Well, PK said in that interview that basically he was going to have to go to court. He said he's going to have to go to court because things have just gotten so bad. He also said that, she's lying on him on the show. And you notice that he used the word defamatory. See, when people start using, y'all know what we say, when people start using them legal terms, that defamatory, honey, shit. So let's talk about Garcelle real quick, and then I'm going to the spa, honey. I'm going to the spa. Let's talk about Garcelle real quick. So Garcelle, baby, Garcelle is playing chess, and the rest of these niggas is playing checkers. Okay, Garcelle walked off the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. She said she did an interview on the Today Show because she's promoting her new book, and she wrote a. First of all, Garcelle, you are so smart. She wrote a new book that basically talks about reclaiming her power. And she speaks about her decision to leave the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, why she did it, and where she is today, and what the lessons learned from that experience. Baby, why she released the book right after the season was over? I said that was so perfect. That was so, because all of us want to know, right? All of us want to know Garcelle's side of the story, and it's so perfect that she waited for the season to be over. She waited to see how everything was going to play out, and then she released this book, and now there's no rebuttal, because by the time they start filming, other things will be going on, right? Ain't nobody gonna be talking about. I mean, I'm sure they're gonna find a way to talk about Garcelle's book. They're gonna ask somebody gonna ask what's that girl? Sutton about it. But for the most part, it's not going to be a major storyline, because by the time they're probably going to start filming in a couple of months, and we'll be moved on to something else. The big storyline is going to be PK child and this lawsuit. That's what the big storyline is going to be. But she said, she realized that she said she was no longer interested in doing drama for the sake of drama. And she said she realized that in that moment, she didn't have anybody on her side anymore. And she said anymore, so I think that was for Sutton. The anymore part was probably for Sutton. And she said she just didn't want to do it anymore. She just didn't want to do it anymore. And she said, honestly, Housewives was never my final stop. She said, I did a lot of things before Housewives, and I'm going to do things after Housewives, and Housewives was never my final stop. And so she said, listen, it was just time. It was just time for me to do something different. I love that she's handling it with class. Like, she's throwing the jabs without it being nasty, right? We also found out this week that she has a new series. Hold on. Let me get my phone again so I can give you all that information. So on top of the book and on top of the other stuff she already has going on, all these text messages. She is signed to Peacock to develop a murder mystery called Keep Your Friends Close. And it's from Leo Richardson and Garcelle Bouvray. And y'all know that Peacock is an NBC Universal company, which means that her relationship with NBC Universal is great. The fact that she's got a new show potentially coming on Peacock lets you know that there are no hard feelings, that even though she walked off the reunion, whatever she did behind the scenes, she handled it the way she needed to handle it, that she's been on Watch What Happens Live. Her and Andy are in a very good space. And I'm sure if she wants to come back to Housewives, I'm sure that door is open for her. Mm-hmm. I'm sure that door is open for her. And I'm here for it. I'm here for it. I still think that's the way she left that show. I still think it's epic. It is just epic. Okay. And if they Tracy, and if they do talk about her book, that just means it's more people coming to see the book, child. Exactly. Yep. So I just pumped the pop on, honey. I'm about to head to the spa. We're at a day at sea. So they're playing, most of them over there playing bingo, honey. I was in there, but I didn't buy a bingo card because the line was down the street around the corner. James and them got there. James and them was at the door to get their bingo card. And they was down the street and around the corner. And when James was like, girl, you might, because I was in there talking to them and stuff before bingo started. He said, you might as well go in there and get you a bingo card. I went outside to get one. That line, they had already closed it off, child. I said, oh, well, there's that. So let me go upstairs and talk to my people for a few minutes, and then I'm going to change my clothes and go down here to this good spa. I have dinner reservations for 5:45 at the Italian restaurant. So I definitely have a lot to share on the food situation. I'm just giving y'all like a light overview. When I get home, we'll get into the down and dirty. But so far, day 2, I got up this baby. We was up. When I got off with y'all last night, I did go back out And baby, we was in the club till 2:30 this morning, baby. 2:30 this morning. That's why I'm about to go down here to this good spa and relax a little bit because honey, okay? That's all I can say is honey. Um, I slept till about 10 o'clock, and then I went and got me some breakfast. And then so then I got the unlimited therapeutic pass. So I'm about to make it, baby, I'm about to make it worth my money. So I'm about to go down here and do this I think I'm gonna do the mud today. I didn't do the mud yesterday. I think I'm gonna do the mud today. Go in the mud room, and I'm gonna let y'all know what that experience was like. Um, and then, like I said, I have my reservation. By the time I do the spa for a couple of hours and then come back to my room and take a shower and stuff, it'll probably be time for me to go to dinner. And tonight is the 80s party. So I had some like 80s bottoms, but I didn't get a really cute 80s top. So I don't know. I said I was gonna go down I should have got off Key West yesterday. They had like a bunch of like, they had like cheap t-shirts and stuff. I could have got a cheap t-shirt that James could have kind of cut up for me and turned it into like like a 80s off the shoulder kind of situation. But I ain't do that. Y'all know I didn't get off that shit yesterday. So I'm gonna make you do what to do with what I got. But once I didn't overpack. And so now I'm sitting here like, damn, do I have enough clothes? Because I did not overpack. I legit did not overpack for once. Normally I have more clothes than I need, and this time I just don't. Because I know what I'm wearing to Bimini tomorrow. And then I have enough clothes. I shouldn't say I don't have enough clothes. I do, but I don't have as many options as I would normally have. But that's on me. I know I need some new sandals. I need some more sandals, y'all. So when I come home, I need to find me a couple of cute pair of sandals. Because I have my Crocs, and then I have one of my pairs of sandals, and then I have 2 pair of flip-flops. But I need another like really good pair of like sandals. So that'll be what's on my to-do list when I come home. What am I drinking today? I think I'm going to do a couple of pina coladas. Listen, I have so much money left on my bar tab because the first 2 days I was so concerned about going over my bar tab and spending too much. I didn't really get a lot. Plus, I'll tell y'all why I also wasn't paying for a lot of drinks. I got a hookup. I'll tell y'all about that later. So when I looked at my bar tab today, baby, I still got $400 and something on my bar tab. So I need to start drinking because I only have 2 more days. So I need to start drinking. So I'm gonna give me a couple of pina coladas and then a couple of old fashions. So yeah. All right, y'all. I'm out. I'll talk to y'all later. Mwah. Peace.